Today I'm going to take you to El Calderon Trail. It is within El Malpais National Monument, and from this point forward, if I mispronounce that, I'm sorry. I've only heard it spoken once. El Malpais translates to the Badlands or bad country. Now, this national monument is a pretty large area, but we just stopped impromptu at El Calderon Trail after we visited the Mesoproterozoic rocks up on Ice Caves Road. The El Calderon Trail sits upon the El Calderon flows, which on the geologic map you'll see is abbreviated QBC. They are sometimes called the Laguna flows. They also contain a lot of biodiversity, such as bats, hawks, eagles, and the area itself is often referred to as a mesic island. It's an area that retains more moisture than the surrounding area. The surrounding area is more arid than this particular area. Since we're talking about volcanics here, I was going to do another geophiles in the field on the nearby Rio Grande Rift. Although we spent the previous night in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which sits upon the rift itself, we didn't have enough time to visit any good outcrops. However, there are some videos related to this El Calderon video, and I did them all in Geophiles in the Field Series 1. Episode 9 was Proterozoic on Ice Caves Road. Episode 10 was Geobearings in the Zuni Mountains. Episode 11 was Geology of the Zuni Canyon. And episode 13 was Sunset Crater National Monument, Arizona, and that one is one of my favorite places and probably one of my favorite videos up to this point. Prior to the establishment of El Malpais on the last day of December in 1987, ranchers and the people that constructed nearby Route 53 had altered the drainage pattern that adversely affects the area, which to this day is still a problem. There are many points of interest and history in the area, but this is about the geology. So let's get started with that. The ages of these lava flows somewhat varies, and it originally thought to be about 115,000 years old, but that is now known to be incorrect. Other ages have yielded 30 to 40,000 years, and even one at 54,000 years. But all we can say for sure is that they're greater than 21,000 and less than 60,000 years old. There were at least two main eruptions that created the cinders and the lava flows. One was black and one was red, possibly indicating two different sources of lava. The cinder cone itself, which we didn't get to, unfortunately, because we didn't walk the full 3 miles or 5 kilometers, is about 1,200 feet above the surrounding area, which is about 365 meters. This cinder cone was created as lava erupted from the earth, and it would have kicked up in the air at least 1,000 feet or about 300 meters in places and come down to form the slopes of this cone and built that up as material and lava poured away from it. Lava made it about 22 miles, 35 kilometers to the nearby 117 and I-40 junction. Now, you've heard me talk about how the continents move through time due to plate tectonics and their positions are different. However, when these flows erupted on the surface, Earth looked essentially as it does now. Even North and South America had joined together, which occurred about 2 million years ago, a little further back than that. So if you got in a spacecraft and went back in time 21,000 to 60,000 years ago, the Earth would look exactly the same as it does now. From space, you wouldn't notice any difference. Now, although there are Mesozoic deposits in the area, they are not near the El Calderon Trail, and we know Earth looked different then as Pangea was breaking apart. Now, we do have Paleozoic units, as I talked about, those two Permian units. As you can see, the white line here depicts the equator. The red star depicts where Malpais presently sits, and you can see it was at the equator during the Permian. During this time, Pangaea was still essentially together. Now we go back further, and we have accurate continental reconstructions to about the end of the Neoproterozoic, around 550 million years ago, and you see that here. However, the Precambrian rocks, those Mesoproterozoic rocks exposed at the surface in the map area, are more than 1 billion years older than that, and we aren't exactly sure where North America or Laurentia sat at that point. So this only goes back to about 550 million years, which we're pretty confident we know where North America was at that time. The location of this national monument is actually on the Colorado Plateau. The rocks themselves are part of the Zuni-Bandera volcanic field, which began erupting about 700,000 years ago, and the most recent eruption occurred about 3,900 years ago. The lava flows are all mafic, the main rock type being basalt, but the lavas are one of two mostly: Pahoe, which is a smooth, ropey lava, and Aa, which is the rough, blocky, jagged stuff that forms. We saw that at Sunset Crater. There's basically two reasons why we didn't do the whole trail, the 3 miles or 5 kilometers, even go to the cone. Maybe someday we will return there and get to actually see it. We had time constraints, and we weren't used to that elevation. The elevation is really high in the area, and us being lowlanders, we're used to about 600 feet in elevation above sea level. We aren't used to the 8,400 feet above sea level. Even when we went to Glacier, the elevation was about that high, so it winded us a bit. But we did get to see something very interesting. But first I need to talk about cave systems here for a second. The vast majority of cave systems in North America are made of sedimentary carbonate rocks, like what you see in the Midwest of the continent and stuff like that. But these are not. The caves here are emptied lava tubes. They formed as lava violently erupted to the surface and cleared out the tube from which they came from. When we stumbled upon these lava tubes, I was absolutely blown away. This is the first time I've ever seen caves formed by lava as opposed to the weathering of carbonate rocks. Look down into these, you don't see any stalactites or stalagmites or anything like that. You can't get in them anymore. They went down really far. I mean, they were just so beautiful. I'd never seen anything like that. So it kind of caught me off guard because I wasn't ready for it. We just happened to walk upon the trail. We saw the ravines in the ground where lava had flown and drained out. But then all of a sudden, boom, there were these empty lava tubes, and I was awestruck. The basalts intrude the much older Permian sediments. There's two main Permian formations around this caldera. You have the oldest Abo Formation, which we saw up on the Zuni Mountains, which is about 295 million years old, and the formation right above that, which is the Yeso Formation, which is about 290 million years old, give or take. Now, these themselves rest upon much older meta-igneous rocks of the Mesoproterozoic. So we're talking Precambrian. We're talking 1,600 million years ago. And those rocks are locally mostly porphyritic aplite. And on the map, they appear as PCAP, the C with the slash through it, which is symbol for Precambrian. Now, the Abo Formation is given as PA, and the Yeso Formation shows up on the map as PY. Now, you'll notice something on here called QAL. That's Quaternary Alluvium. It sporadically covers stuff here and there. Basically, it's just sand and gravels eroded from highlands, and that's about 10,000 years old to today. It's not really a significant part of the geology of the area. And not only that, but as erosion started to happen, you started to get some cool things in the area. Some things we did not visit, like the little bridge and stuff like that are known to be in the area. There's so many cool geomorphic features created from this eruption, 21,000 to 60,000 years ago, whenever it exactly happened. If you don't find all the dark mafic basalt rocks as exciting as I do, the caves do hold some minerals in them. The caves are presently closed as far as I am aware, but here's a list of some minerals that they ever open back up. You can try to, you know, take a look and see if you can see any of them. It is a national monument, so don't take anything. But I did only need 2 sources for this. The National Park Service actually did really well. In 2012, they released the Malpais National Monument Geologic Resources Inventory Report, which does include 2 geologic maps within it. It's a very good resource and it's in color. The second one is a little older. It's the El Calderon Area Trail Guide from 2004. It's in black and white. Now, both of these publications are available free online. All you got to do is search for them. But anyway, that's it. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I hope you learned something.